There are two kinds of fats that we need to be concerned about. One of them is the subcutaneous fat, and the other one is the visceral fat. Subcutaneous fat is the fat that you find under your skin. When you pinch your skin, the softness you feel is the subcutaneous fat. The visceral fat is deeper in the abdomen. Between the subcutaneous fat and the visceral fat, you have a layer of muscle. I'm going to put a picture to show exactly what I mean. Subcutaneous fat is a fat that's under your skin. So if you have insulin shots, or if you hear the doctor talk about liposuction, they're talking about the subcutaneous fat. That is the fat that you have easier access to than the visceral fat. The visceral fat is under the muscle, and the visceral fat is necessary because it protects our organs. So your liver, your stomach, your intestines, or any of your organs around the abdominal area needs to be cushioned with some visceral fat. However, when we have problems with the visceral fat is when we have more than what we need for the cushioning. Now, the difference between these two fats, the first one is that subcutaneous fat probably makes up about 90% of a regular person's fat composition, whereas the 10% is a visceral fat. The visceral fat is an active fat, so it affects how the body works. So the visceral fat is a fat that is involved in your susceptibility to type 2 diabetes or any cardiovascular problem. The fat that is concerned with all those activities is the visceral fat. The subcutaneous fat is not involved in that. The other difference is that subcutaneous fat is found all over your body, your thighs, your stomach area, pretty much everywhere, even though you have more of it in certain areas like your stomach than other areas. Whereas the visceral fat is only found in the abdomen. So most of the time when people talk about belly fat, it's likely that the visceral fat is the reason why they have a belly fat. Now, it doesn't mean to say that if you have belly fat that it's definitely the visceral fat that's causing the problem. It could be, or it could be a combination of visceral fat and some subcutaneous fat. So that is the summary of those two fats. I've done a couple of shorts recently explaining that if anyone is claiming to show you how you can lose belly fat or exercises that will help you lose belly fats, that it's likely that they're not being completely honest with what they're referring to. And that's the reason why I'm doing this video. So welcome to Wellness with IJ. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have subscribed to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. If you don't feel like you want to subscribe today, please stay with me, watch till the end, and I do hope that by the end of this video you will find a reason to subscribe. If you don't, well, I really appreciate you viewing the channel. So the three differences that I've mentioned so far, and the subcutaneous fat, you have more of the subcutaneous fat in your body than the visceral fat. The ratio that I mentioned was 90% of the subcutaneous fat and then 10% of the visceral fat. The other difference that I mentioned was the fact that visceral fat is very active, responsible for all the consequences of obesity that we've talked about. So heart disease, Alzheimer's, cancers, all those consequences, they're being caused mostly by the visceral fat. So I just want you to remember that. The difference that I've mentioned is that visceral fat is found around the stomach, around the abdomen, whereas subcutaneous fat is spread out all over the body. So let's think about this. Let's look at this. So when they tell you that there are some exercises that you can do in order to reduce your belly fat, think about it. You know, when you exercise, you're working on your muscles, right? You're doing all those push-ups and sit-ups and crunches around your stomach area, and you're strengthening your muscle. So if you have a lot of fat on top of the muscle, for instance, subcutaneous fat, you can strengthen your muscle, but until you lose that fat, the muscle is not going to be seen. So you could potentially have very firm muscles, but unfortunately, because you have a lot of fat, Nobody is going to see the muscle that you've worked hard to make firm. The other thing that I would like to mention is that the fact that you have a flat stomach does not mean that your visceral fat or that you don't have excess visceral fat. It doesn't mean that. Unfortunately, though, the tests that are available to measure your visceral fat are very expensive, and I don't know that any doctor is going to order such tests for you. It's much easier to change your lifestyle. It's much easier to modify your lifestyle in order to lose weight than to undergo or to request for those tests that are simply meant to tell you what you may already have guessed. So that's that. Bottom line is, if you're overweight or you're obese, what you need to do is to engage in strength exercises as well as aerobic exercise. Aerobic exercises, we're talking about walking, running, cycling. And strength exercises, we're talking about weights and that type of activity. Those are the two ways of increasing your activity. And then in terms of nutrition, we'll go back to what we already know. Basically, lean proteins, chicken breasts, fish, meat. Make sure that you're eating your meat. Make sure that you defat them as much as you can. Like I said, we need fats, we need carbohydrates. We just don't need excess of them. The best source of iron you will find is meat. And so if you're a vegetarian, you don't eat meat, you need to make sure that your iron levels are where they should be, and your doctor will let you know. You may have to either take some supplements or whatever you need in order to get your iron levels up. So again, your meat, your complex carbohydrates with your fiber, vegetables, fruits. Those are the ways that you're going to tackle your belly fat. Don't engage in any specific exercises for the purpose of losing weight from your belly or from your thighs or from anywhere on your body that you feel that you need to lose weight. No evidence to suggest that there's any diet, any specific diet or any specific exercise that you can engage in order to lose weight from any part of your body. So we come back to square one. Make sure you exercise, make sure you watch what you eat, make sure you're in a calorie deficit. I made another short today about intermittent fasting. As you all know, intermittent fasting just means that you have a period of time during the day that you eat, and then you have a period of time that you fast. The minimum number of hours recommended is 16 hours a day. That allows you 8 hours to eat. It is possible to overdo it in 8 hours. Remember, 8 hours is a long time. Most people work for 8 hours a day. That's a typical number of hours that you do working. So it's a long time. And I hear many people say you can eat whatever you want within the 8 hours and you'll be fine. That's not true. Make sure that you are watching what you eat. You need to be in a calorie deficit. It's very, very easy to overeat. If you think perhaps, oh, I can have the Big Mac because I'm doing intermittent fasting, I've not eaten the whole day, so I'm going to indulge. I don't know if you know how many calories are in your Big Mac, and the fact that it has unhealthy fats is also another issue. So those are all ways of making sure that you stay healthy. Make sure you're in a calorie deficit. You need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. I don't care what people tell you. You need to be in a deficit. You need to figure out how much you should be consuming in order to lose weight. I did a video which I'm going to attach, how to find out how much you need to consume in order to lose weight, and then how to be in deficit of that number of calories. That is the only way proven to lose weight. And if you lose weight, you're losing fat and you're losing your visceral fat. Of course, you will need to do your strength exercise. Of course, you need to do your crunches to make sure that your muscles are firm, especially muscles around your abdominal area. Remember that there is no quick fix for losing belly fat. You need to lose fat from your whole body. So if you're the right weight, you don't need to lose weight. Your belly shows, exercise. That's when you need to do your crunches and your sit-ups. And some people may never achieve the flat stomach because that's how they are. That's how they're built. So don't think that, your stomach has to be flat. If you've done what you need to do, you're the right weight, you do your exercises and your stomach isn't flat, perhaps you're like me, you've had kids, you've had babies, and so sometimes it's loose skin from the stretches of pregnancy. I have to do is to do your best to make sure that you're the right weight and that you exercise, and you should be fine. The only other thing you can do is surgery, where you do your tummy tuck or you get rid of the loose skin to make sure that your stomach area is flat. Apart from that, there isn't anything else. And that's all I wanted to share with you today. Like the video, make a comment, tell me what you think. And until the next time, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.